Guys, I am super excited to be making this video today because this has been something that's been a long time coming, and it's going to be really great for not just content for this game, but also the preservation of it as an artistic work in general. And because you're probably wondering, yes, this is going to impact the third and fourth parts of the Battle for Bikini Bottom documentary. So, two of our community members, Sheriff the Great and Chicho, have been working for well over a year now to uncover the original quality of soundtracks for Battle for Bikini Bottom, and have them publicly released so anybody can listen to them, use them in videos, and so forth. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal for this game, because, obviously you're probably thinking, well, can't you just go online and find these soundtracks and download them just off of, YouTube, or rip them off the disc or something? And the answer is yes, but the problem is that the soundtracks are down-mixed to mono, and they're compressed as well. I guess just save space on the discs back from when this game was made and published to the 6th generation consoles, the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. Especially on the GameCube, a lot of the sounds got compressed, and I guess at some point in translation, they probably just compressed it on the Xbox version as well. So unfortunately, until now, we haven't had the full stereo quality of these mixes for the soundtrack, ever in our possession. The closest we've ever gotten is the little snippets they had in SpongeBob's Truth or Square, which is one of the heavy iron SpongeBob games they released in the late 2000s. So yeah, that game recycled a lot of the soundtracks from the movie game and Battle for Bikini Bottom for its tracks. However, they're more just little clips of them and not the full tracks that are available in Battle for Bikini Bottom. So what initiated Sheriff and Chicho to look into this was the Gamescom demonstration of Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated back around in August of last year. So when they heard the soundtrack during this reveal, which if you remember was just Jellyfish Fields, they were concerned with the quality of the sound because they were using the mono version of the tracks, which up until that point was all we knew existed. So what THQ Nordic eventually decided to do, and I'm not an expert on this by the way, but from my understanding they just hired a second studio to mix over the mono soundtracks from the original game to add more instruments and create kind of this fake stereo effect where, it's not playing just in one ear. You have the surround sound, but it's not like a true stereo mix. It was just a modified version of the mono compressed mix that was from the original game. And up until this point, Chicho, Sheriff, and a community that had been forming around this mission to find the original tracks, uncover the composer, and try to get THQ Nordic in touch with them to put the original tracks into Rehydrated. They've been slowly making some progress on this hunt. And when Rehydrated released, I think that's what eventually pushed them to try and reach out and contact the composer of the original game to just see if it was possible to retroactively add these tracks to the Rehydrated version, which had been using the fake stereo mixes up until this point. So Chicho got in contact with the composer, Tim Borquez, on the 2nd of July this year, and he was able to explain some background on the tracks. He mentioned one of his friends was able to collaborate with him and take care of the guitar on some of the tracks that he made, and that they were very passionate about it, much like most of the people who were working on this game back then, which you can tell just by listening to it, obviously. So Tim basically said that he was certain that he had the tracks somewhere from back in 2003 when the game was published. So long story short, Tim was able to find the tracks. He was able to find a disc with all of his original tracks and some alternates and also underscores from the cutscenes. If you know, from the beginning with the score that goes under Plankton's evil plan when he's talking about the robots in the beginning, and when SpongeBob and Patrick are playing with the robots and race horses, and at the end of the game when the giant robot SpongeBob is revealed, and after you defeat, all those underscores are available on this disc that was found. So at this point, Sheriff and Chicho got Tim in contact with Martin Crouch from THQ Nordic. So these two guys had their back and forth, and eventually they came to some agreement to be able to release these tracks publicly. And just to emphasize how long and stressful of a process this was, they were able to get Martin and Tim in touch back as far as July. So from then until now, it's been dealing with all the legal stuff and getting this set up to be able to release these tracks publicly for people to be able to use them. And yesterday, on December 22nd, it finally happened. The stereo tracks of Battle for Bikini Bottom have been added to the Rehydrated OST download available on the Steam page for Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Now, it's not implemented into the game, and I'm not sure if it is planned to be, but the modding community surrounding Rehydrated has already figured out how to get it in. So either way, it's very exciting. And if you're one of the people like me who likes to use these tracks for my own videos, my own use, or my own leisure just listening to them, this is a huge W for you as well. It's a win for everybody. We finally have access to these high quality tracks, just flawless tracks. So for me personally, what I'm excited to do is eventually be able to implement these tracks into the third and fourth parts of the Battle for Bikini Bottom documentary. And at some point, because we have access to them now, it's really encouraging me even more to eventually do some kind of a remaster for the first 2 parts of the documentary, because again, I was using the mono mixes for those, the compressed mono versions. So now that we have the stereo tracks, I would love to go back and add those to the project. All this is super exciting for me, and if you sit down and listen to these tracks with headphones or speaker system, you're gonna notice the difference. Like, it's huge. And having all these underscores without the voice lines going over them is also really cool as well. The ukulele mix from the beginning of the game is like one of those things I was really hoping existed somewhere, and just the fact that it is a real thing that has been preserved for nearly 2 decades and is now in our hands is just so exciting. And I can't wait to use these in videos, and I'm so glad, and seriously, like, it's a miracle this was even able to work out and pan out as it did. It may not be a perfect world where they've been implemented into the game, but man, this is just so cool. By the way, I'm gonna be making an update video on the whole documentary situation soon. I'm still obviously gonna finish it, but I'm just gonna talk more about like when and how I'm going to go about finishing it. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe for more on this game and whatever else I'm doing. And make sure you have a look at the soundtrack on the Rehydrated Steam page. I'll link that in the description, along with the invite to the music server for this game where it all started. Again, huge thank you to Sheriff and Chicho for organizing and slaving over this over the past year. You guys are truly unsung heroes of the community, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knows how much work you guys have put in. Thank you so much, guys, for helping us preserve this game as a work of art. And to everyone else, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.